Hey everybody, and welcome back to the channel. So this is going to be a short video, but for some of you this is a really exciting time because now there are a couple of different really good options for having vocal playback in Dorico. And what I mean by vocal playback is you can actually hear the words being spoken, not just the notes in Dorico. So a few videos ago you saw that I did some work with the synthesizer Studio V version 2, which I think works fantastic. It has a ton of different voices, including choir sounds, and it really makes a very, very good tool. But you do have to export the music in MusicXML. But this tool that I'm going to show you today, which is called Kanti, actually works inside of Dorico with no export. So every time you hit play, it will work without any extra steps, which could be really, really handy for somebody who's really working through something and wants that immediate playback with no extra steps. So let's dive right in. So right now I have a project up here with some lyrics and everything, and what we need to do is we need to load in Kanti into our program so that we will be able to hear the playback. So once you have your music notated and you're ready to go, you can go to your Play tab. And from here, we need to add some VST instruments. Now, depending on your system, one thing that caught me a little bit off guard with this software is that you actually had to do a couple of things to set it up. First of all, you do need to download the beta, which you have till April 30th in 2026 to download and try out the beta before it goes off sale. It's normally $300. Right now it's $150. I have not purchased it yet because I don't know if I'm going to use it enough, because I do have Synthesizer V that I do like, but this is a quicker and easier tool, and I really like things that save me time. You also will have to make an account on their system to get your activation code, even to use the beta. So if you don't like giving away your information, if you want to try the beta, you are going to have to sign up with their website. So just a couple of things to note. Once you've signed up, downloaded and installed the software, and you've gone to their website, under your profile, you'll see your activation code, and you're going to copy that into the plugin, and then you're ready to go. So back here in Dorico, what we're going to do is under the Play tab, we're going to go over here to VST and MIDI. And what we need to do is we need to add a Kanti instrument for every vocal line we have. Now, Kanti does not work well with multi-line things, meaning you can't have two voices. You are going to have to separate them. However, remember, if you have two independent voices on one stave, like say up stem is soprano 1, down stem is soprano 2, you can set those independently in one stave because they're in different voices. But you can't have all up stems for one voice and have it sing out of two different parts. So what we're going to do here is we're going to hit our little plus button here, and then we're going to go down here, and the company that makes it is called the Touring Opera Workshop, and then you'll see it's a synth, and there's Kanti. Now, when you click on the instrument, you will see it comes up with this friendly little dialogue here. And the great thing about this dialogue is there's not a lot of stuff to tweak, which again, it's a speed up thing, which doesn't necessarily always make it very customizable, but what it does mean is you can just throw it in there and go. So what you're going to do is you're going to choose a part, and you can see it lists all the different ones that I have. And let's say I wanted to choose bass, and then you would go down to your voice and you would choose a voice. You can see we have a number of soprano voices, and there's quite a few that come with it. These are not extra purchases. They come with the software. Alto, you have these. Tenor, you have a really pretty big list, as well as some that are called jazz, which I'm going to show you in a minute how that sounds in comparison to the Synthesizer V sounds. We have the baritone, obviously, and then we have the choral parts, which are going to give you like a male chorus versus a female chorus. And so that's going to be a fuller sound. Now, this one is kind of a madrigal setting, so I did assign independent voices. So once you choose a voice, then it shows you what part it's assigned to. It shows you which voice it's going to use, and you can see down here it is rendering out the audio. Now, I found the rendering is not as fast as Synthesizer V, but by no means is it slow. It goes really pretty quick, and so by the time I'm done with this sentence, you can see it's already done rendering. There is a little box here to take you into the settings, but there's really not a whole lot in here. You can see the choir voice count, and that's how many in a section there would be. So if you used the female choir voice versus the male choir voice, it'll put it in like that. It also shows you how much disk space is used, as well as some other things there. You can see part of my token code to activate the software, and then my connection to the engine. So again, not a lot of options. You basically do that and you're ready to go. So let's hear it in action in Dorico. Okay, so over on the track side, you can see that I have an instance of Kanti assigned to each one of my singers, and that way we get the independent singing voice for each one. Now, do note, if you had two voices in the same part, you could click this independent voice playback, and what you'll see is an up stem for the voice 1 and a down stem for the voice 2, and you have all these same options for that. And so you can assign a completely independent singing voice to that if you're going to do that. So let's go back to the right menu, and I'm just going to go ahead and hit play, and we'll see what it sounds like.
Remember, not Lord, our offenses. Remember, not Lord, our offenses.
So you can hear we have lyrics, we have notes, we have intonation, and it sounds pretty good. I will admit, comparing it to Synthesizer V, the pronunciations are a little bit more literal than Synthesizer V. Synthesizer V is a little bit more natural, plus we have the ability to change the pronunciation of words, so if it gets something wrong, we can actually change it. But in this case, we don't have that option, so you're going to get what you get. Now, it is still in beta, and they're already announcing new features, and they're working on things like the support for repeated sections, which could be amazing, and as well as, like I said before, I can just literally here in Dorico, I could take this entire line and transpose it up a third, and it is ready to sing. And then I can go ahead and put it back where it was. And then we do have to give it about 15 seconds or so to render out, and then we hit play again. So no exporting, it's right there. It also observes dynamics. So let me go ahead and put a fortissimo on that line, and then these lines I'm going to go ahead and put on a pianissimo. And it will actually do that right away. So let's hear how that sounds. Now you can see one thing is true though, if I do any change to the part including notes, what will happen is it's going to have to re-render. So I'm going to go ahead and put in a dynamic change. So these ones are going to crescendo up to fortissimo, and then this one here, I'm going to have that diminuendo down to pianissimo. And you'll hear that after it has rendered. Now again, it takes 15 to 20 seconds per stave, so you can't be in too big of a hurry, so you are going to have to wait for the playback to render. So you'll want to have a good cup of coffee when you're using this plugin during the composing stage, because you're going to have to wait for it to re-render every time you change something on the part. And listen to that. It had a nice crescendo, which really adds a lot. Now remember, Synthesizer V does all of these same things, but you do have to do them in the Synthesizer V editor. Now the Synthesizer V editor gives you ultimate control, so you can do anything to the audio. But again, as a composition tool, speed is of the essence. The quicker I can get through these things, the better, because I can move on to my next project and I can be more efficient. So this is definitely really enticing to me. I just can't decide if I want to have two of these plugins, but the ability to just quickly go in, and it's a lifetime purchase. Now, as I stated a minute ago, unlike Synthesizer V, you don't have to buy these extra voice packs, at least as of today. So you get all the voices right away, and you don't have to kind of worry about how you're going to deal with purchasing other voices and everything like you do with Synthesizer V, but you do get this immediate playback, which is amazing. So let's hear how it sounds on some popular music. Now, if you looked at some of my other videos on these voice synthesizers, you saw that I was doing some pop arrangements, and so I had used Synthesizer V because it's really good at doing pop, rap, and other things like that. And so what we're going to do is we're going to play back some of this, and we're going to compare it to the sound that we would get from the Kanti plugin. So we have my version here of Never Gonna Give You Up, and so let's start by hearing how it sounds. So you can hear we get pretty authentic playback using the Synthesizer V. Now, it does mean you sort of have to finish your whole project, export the MusicXML into Synthesizer V, and then you can do little tweaks and stuff in there, but it kind of means you can't get to this step until the end, whereas with the Kanti, we can get to this step anytime we want in the process. So let's go ahead and trade these voices out really quickly and see how they compare. So to begin with, we're going to start with just our solo voice. So let's just hear a quick sample of that.
We ain't no strangers to love. You know the rules, and so do I.
Okay, so let's go ahead and trade that out. So we're going to go to our Play tab, and then we're going to go to our VST and MIDI. We're going to scroll down, and we're going to hit the little plus sign to add an instrument. And then we are going to add in, again, that Opera Workshop synth, and here's Kanti. So once you've added the instrument, the first thing we need to do is assign it to a voice, because if we don't, Kanti doesn't know where to draw it from. So we're going to go up here to our solo voice, and we're going to flip that one over to Kanti. Now we're going to hit the E here, and you'll see it allows us to choose solo voice as our part, and then we need a voice. So I'm going to go under my tenor, and I'm going to try this jazz voice, and we're going to see how that goes. So it's going to take it a minute to render there. Now, unlike in Synthesizer V, we don't have to mute the channel like we did. So I had muted all the playback. So this plugin is going to adhere to that, and it's basically going to mute everything. So let's go ahead and turn that off. So I'm going to highlight the entire line there and turn off suppress playback. Now, if we go back over to the Play tab, we can see that it is rendering. So turning off that setting made it so that it will actually do what it's supposed to do. And even if it's not 100% done rendering, so long as it had gotten through at least part of it, it'll let us start. So let's hear how this sounds in comparison. Another quick note before you hit play. Because Synthesizer V plays on its own, do understand that you actually have to go in and mute Synthesizer V in its own plugin, because it won't stop playing back because it's independent of the Dorico engine. So I did have to come into Synthesizer V and mute it so that we don't hear both playback at the same time. So let's try that so we can hear just the Kanti.
Know each other for so long. Your heart's bending good, but your
Let's go ahead and put a higher dynamic on there so we can hear it a little bit better. But I will already admit to you, it sounds a little bit more robotic. It's the vowels and the consonants don't quite fit together well enough. But let's hear it again.
know each other for so long. Your heart's bending good, but you're too shy to say it. Inside we both know it's been going on. We know the game that we're gonna play.
Now, for my money, that voice is just a little bit too classical singer trying to sing pop music, but at the same time, it does work. He's saying the words, and you can hear the notes, and so you could copy along, but it might confuse your vocalist just a little bit because the style is a little far off. Now, they might improve this in future versions, but it's at least nice to see that it works, and again, because it renders in real time, in Dorico, every time I make a change, it'll just adhere to it. It'll automatically re-render. So it's a really powerful tool. So my final thoughts on this is, A, it's early on in the stages, and it'll probably get a lot better. So I do think that it is a good investment, especially if you don't own any of these right now, because it's the simplest of them. The second thing is, if you're not interested in doing all of the crazy edits that you can do in Synthesizer V, if you're not going to use it as a texture synthesizer in the middle of a composition, it's probably worth checking out, because this one integrates right there into Dorico, and boom, you're done. It's so quick and easy. And that way you're just ready to go right away. And so, like I said, it's a pretty darn handy tool. It's the same reason I have Note Performer. You just turn it on, it works, it has every instrument under the sun, it sounds good, and away you go. You don't have to do any settings. I really like that most of the time. So this is pretty darn handy as far as I'm concerned. In terms of quality, as of today, the words are a little bit it doesn't quite pronounce them right. So there's a little bit of hairiness going on there. So if I was really concerned about my singers learning bad habits, you got to understand that you're going to have to correct your singers. So if you make part tapes using this, they may start mispronouncing words. So you will have to go in and say, no, don't do that. I know what the thing said, but so just be aware of that. But as long as you have that ability and you have good singers who can kind of listen to you and adjust, it does work really well. And again, super fast, 2 clicks, boop, done. And so again, I think it's a really great tool. I'm still on the fence if I'm going to buy it since I own the other one. But again, if I didn't own Synthesizer V and I was really thinking about budget before now on April 30th on 2026, I would spend the $150 because it's 50% off and it's a lifetime purchase and you have it forever. No subscription required, which is pretty darn handy. I don't love owning everything in the world, but I can definitely see myself using this, especially for operatic things, classical voice, symphonic works where you really want that husky choir sound. I will say the solo vocal sounds in here for straight classical does beat Synthesizer V just a little bit, at least for the voices that I own. I think Synthesizer V was really searching for more of a pop, jazz, sort of rock sound, and so they have a lot more voices tailored to that than to straight classical, which is, I think, where this one came from. So it's kind of apples and oranges. You could look at it that way, and it might be worth buying both. So again, thanks so much for watching. I hope you'll subscribe to the channel. I'm really trying to work toward getting up to about 50,000 subscribers. I have lots of videos coming out, including things on Dorico, like this one here, as well as other music tech items and things for your home studio. Like I said, I really enjoy working with everybody. Send me questions, post comments, send me an email. I'd love to help you out. I also offer independent workshops over Zoom or with a group. If you have 3 or 4 friends and you all want to learn how to do something, shoot me a message. I'd be happy to do that. So again, I will catch you later, and let's keep on singing.